Tisha. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Karin Goodfellow, and I'm the Director of Public Art in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And in that capacity, I am also the Director of the Boston Art Commission. And I will just note that today, something new that we're doing is that we're trying out closed captioning on Zoom. You should see that at the bottom of your screen. If you have any trouble figuring it out, please chat the BAC staff for assistance. This is the first time we're using this, so I think it's not gonna catch everything, but we're hoping that it's helpful.
So far, so good.
Yeah. I'm curious to find out if we can teach it certain names or words that we use often, but we haven't gotten that far with it yet. As I was saying, this is our commission meeting. Artworks proposed for the City of Boston property are reviewed at public meetings of the Boston Art Commission hosted by the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. Final decisions are made by vote by the board of the Boston Art Commission at these public meetings, like tonight. The Boston Art Commission is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 appointed volunteer art and design professionals that hold public meetings through and staffed by the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture to review and vote on matters concerning the city's art collection. Meetings are generally held the second Tuesday of each month to review current public art projects cited on or proposed for City of Boston property. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Art Commission, the public may access this meeting through telephone and video conferencing. I'm joined by Boston Art Commission staff working within the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, Sarah Rodrigo, Public Art Project Manager, and Trisha Gilrain, Collections Manager, who will be helping to facilitate this meeting. And Trisha will add our contact information into the chat. I'll now hand it over to Chair Mark Pasnik and Vice Chair Ekua Holmes, who will call the meeting to order and go over some further instruction.
Thank you, Karen. Welcome, everyone. I'm calling this public hearing to order at 4:06 p.m. Today, the Boston Art Commission will be holding its monthly public meeting. I'll now take roll call of the commissioners to confirm a quorum. After I state your name, commissioners, please say here. Ekua Holmes. Ekua. I know she's here.
Here, I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. Camilo Alvarez.
Here.
Robert Freeman.
Here.
John Andrus.
Here.
Brian Hone.
Here.
Cara Elliott Ortega.
Here.
Michael Canizzo.
Here, but am I the only one that's got a blank screen? It looks like the agenda and all the other slides are being covered up by a black screen. I think we had a similar issue last time.
Yeah, I don't see that myself, but I remember what you're talking about. Does anyone else see that?
No, I don't have that either.
Mine's fine.
Mine's fine too.
Michael, I wonder if you don't want to leave and
Maybe I'll
come.
leave and come back.
Sure.
Okay, but you are here and we do have a quorum. And hopefully you'll join us back in just a minute. We will now review the minutes from the previous April 29th meeting of the Boston Art Commission. Are there any comments or modifications any commissioner would like to make at this time? I think we should probably wait a minute for Michael. Looks like he's back in. Okay, and no comments on Michael, do you have any comments on the minutes from 4/29?
I'm all good.
Okay, great. So hearing none others, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Ekua. And so I'll take a vote now. Ekua Holmes,
Yes.
Camilo Alvarez,
Yes.
Michael Canizzo,
Yes,
Cara Elliott Ortega,
Yes.
John Andrus,
Yes.
Brian Hone,
Yes.
and Robert Freeman.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes as well, so the motion passes. Next on our list, on this slide, you will see the agenda we will be following today. The agenda for these meetings are always publicly posted on boston.gov. We'll begin with the director's report and then move into presentations for review. At the time of presentations, we will provide you with information about how you can participate. Turn it over to Karin now for her director's report.
Thank you, Mark. I'll start with administrative items. Although she is unable to attend today, we welcome Dr. Kymberly Pinder to the commission. Dr. Pinder will be attending her first Boston Art Commission meeting in a voting capacity next month. She is Provost and Senior Vice President of Massachusetts College of Art and Design. As a scholar and a curator, Dr. Pinder teaches, writes, and lectures on representations of religion, history, and race in American art, and has authored multiple books on the subject. As a mural scholar, Dr. Pinder has always been committed to community engagement and interdisciplinary initiatives and has led mural projects in Chicago and Albuquerque. And I know she's very excited about being here and says she only goes to Mural City. So we are really thrilled to be working with her, and we've had her on artist review committees already, and we're really looking forward to having her on the commission. Next, on the Embrace, I had at the March 9th meeting, you voted to approve the final design for the Embrace as presented by King Boston, and in that the MOU and its exhibits as currently drafted are accepted, and if there are any substantial changes that they, King Boston and the Boston Foundation would return to the Art Commission for further review. The exhibits include a draft deed of gift and maintenance plan. The exhibits will be finalized after the BAC makes the final vote for accessioning the artwork into the city's art collection, which will happen after the artwork is installed. Once the artwork is accessioned, the city takes on ownership and all responsibilities for the artwork. Yesterday, the Boston Foundation's legal representation shared an updated version of the MOU that seems fine to me. However, they want to add language to the deed of gift after the MOU is signed that may include their ability to use 2D images of the Embrace for commercial purposes outside of the fine art market related to nonprofit fundraising in perpetuity. The language was proposed for negotiation in their phase 1 agreement with the artist, but has not yet been proposed in any of our agreements. My reading as a layperson of the proposed IP and licensing rights paragraph is that while TBF was specific in the request about using and sublicensing images of the artwork for fundraising, the artist didn't agree to the terms, but instead was agreeing to negotiate those terms in the phase 2 agreement, which we have not seen revisions of yet. The language is inclusive of fundraising for the maintenance of the sculpture and for the Center for Economic Justice, which makes sense and seems like a good plan. But I think we should have it reviewed as part of the draft deed of gift before signing the MOU for purposes of clarity and transparency. Normally, as you know, we would be working directly with the artist. In this case, the Boston Foundation holds contracts with the artist and MOUs with the city separately. And just to summarize, my concerns are that we don't know how the artist feels about their the TBF and King Boston's proposal to sell images of the artwork. The foundation is capping their commitment to fundraising for maintenance, but not capping the amount they can fundraise from images of the artwork, and they want the licensing rights forever. They are proposing to use the funds for maintenance for the artwork for King Boston and for the Center for Economic Justice, but also for unspecified nonprofit initiatives of King Boston. The foundation also wishes to be able to sublicense these unlimited commercial rights to 2D commercial images. Commercial Corporation Council previously expressed concerns about the city allowing commercial rights to a public artwork to a private entity in perpetuity, and I'm waiting to hear back from them on how they advise us to proceed. So basically, it seems very complex to me, and I would just like more advice from legal before we do sign it. And hopefully we'd be able to, come forward with full transparency in support of the sculpture, its future maintenance, King Boston, and the Center for Economic Justice. And we just want to be able to do that with a good understanding of what we're committing to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right on the money. Not knowing where the artist stands, the idea of something being licensed in perpetuity, I think is really overstepping. But I'd be curious to see what the legal ramifications might be.
Okay, Thank you. And I'll get back to you. We are in conversation with them and we're really looking forward to wrapping this up. We just want to make sure that we get it right and do right by the artist and by the artwork in the city. Okay, and now we're going to review long-term projects. And as we continue to expand our commissioning programs, again, we want to make sure to keep you in the loop as some of these projects, do take a long time in developing. So we want to give you minor updates as we go along. We have 2 projects in fabrication, including Monica Bravo's artworks for the East Boston Police Station, which received final design approval at April's meeting. 3 other projects are currently in final design, and we anticipate the Hyde Square projects will come in for an advisory review in June. As many of you are unfamiliar with the preliminary design and the artists, Christina Pereño and Amintaj have made some significant updates to the design that they would like to share with you before submitting their final design for review and vote. Additionally, we'll be hosting a community meeting with Christina and Amin in early June and an artist talk with Donovan and Olmsted, the artists at the Boston Arts Academy Exterior Project in late May. So please keep an eye out on our social media and website for exact dates and meeting information, and we'll also get those out to you by email in our newsletters. And as you can see, we have a number of projects in preliminary design phase and in contract. We also want to announce that the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture is releasing a citywide call to artists for transformative public art on Monday, May 17th, and the call will be posted on Submittable. You may have also seen that Paintbox went live again, and we've been getting a good amount of press on that, which is both exciting and a little bit overwhelming because we're not used to getting so much great press. It's good attention. Okay, for existing public art, very quickly, we have one update. HYM Investments has been in touch with BAC staff regarding Sudden Presence by Beverly Pepper. During the February 23rd meeting, the BAC authorized HYM Investment Group to temporarily move Sudden Presence by Beverly Pepper, pending staff review of HYM Investment Group's plan for relocation and storage, including a conservation assessment obtained by HYM Investment Group prior to removal. In the next week or so, BAC staff will meet with the proponent and art relocation specialist to walk through with us the preliminary logistics on how they intend to safely relocate Sudden Presence when it's time to do so. And we'll keep you informed regarding timelines for removal and temporary storage. And I'll pass back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Karen. We'll now move on to items of the agenda for review, public testimony, and commission vote. You'll notice, actually, before we do that, were there any questions on any of what Karen presented from commissioners? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the review, public testimony, and commission vote. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen, there are instructions for public testimony, which we will review now.
So here is how you can participate in today's meeting. During the meeting, please keep yourself muted. If you're having technical difficulties during the meeting, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of the staff will help you. After presentations and commissioners clarifying questions, the chair and vice chair may invite public testimony. If you'd like to participate, you can press the raise your hand icon and staff will put you in a digital line for comment. You can also let staff know that you have a question in the chat. And if you are calling in, press 9 to raise your hand. Please remember to keep your comments on topic and brief. Thank you.
I think they have to press *9 to raise their hand if they're calling in.
I'm sorry, you're right, *9. Our goal is to make this meeting a good meeting for all so that community members feel comfortable sharing their feedback and questions. Please be mindful and respectful of other people's time when speaking so that other participants feel comfortable adding their comments. You're always welcome to submit longer written testimony to bac@boston.gov. While you may disagree with other attendees' testimony, please don't interrupt them during their allotted time. Keep questions and comments project specific. If you're called upon, please also state your name, title, program, and organization if applicable. And we also ask that you don't include any pejorative, ableist, or otherwise abusive language in your comments. So our first project for review is the final design of artist Lily Z. G, and Crystal B. Wegner for the elevator lobby murals at Boston City Hall. The final design will be presented by John Crowley, curator and exhibitions coordinator from the Office of Arts and Culture. Welcome, John.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to present the final version of Lily's and Crystal's mural. It's an existing storefront in Chinatown, and the original image we had proposed is slightly different from this. It's part of the same mural, but the artists wanted to, this is what they wanted, and we agreed to propose this final version. I did give them feedback about the artwork being monochromatic and if they had any more art that they could use. And basically, this is their first and only collaboration so far. And so this is their only artwork really together.
Mm.
Going ahead with this one if the commission approves it.
Any questions or comments about this design from any of the commissioners?
I have a question. So this is the version that's in the storefront. Is it continuous between the mullions of the windows? Like those lines that we see here would continue, or is it a series of panes that would be separated from one another?
It's this is one image, but there's panes separating each window. So it's an actual street photograph of the mural.
So in the version in City Hall, there won't be a gap between each of the panels. It would be one continuous thing.
No, those gaps would show up. The window mullions, is it called?
Yeah.
I see. So it's a direct photograph of the windows that's going to be installed in the elevator lobby.
Right. I mean, we could in Photoshop separate them and post it all as one image. That wouldn't be a big deal at all.
I was just wondering whether the railroad track would seem continuous or whether it would stop, for instance.
And it seems very much about connectivity in some way.
Hmm.
Might be nice to do that. I have a question about the colors. Is there a significance to the black and gold that might be shared with the public?
Not that I know of. I'm not sure if Lily's attending the meeting, but there was never any mention of the reason for the colors.
And can you remind us of the scale of this mural?
Yes, it's 8 feet tall by 16 feet wide.
Thank you.
And then what's the final application? Is it printed on vinyl and then installed, or is it like painted on a wall surface?
Yes, it's printed on vinyl and then they laminate it and trim it. And, it's on a sort of decal that'll just go right over the other murals that are currently up there.
And John,
Yeah,
is that, oh, sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was just going to follow up with kind of Mark's line of questioning of if it seems like, there's not a need for the kind of divides to be there, those vertical divides. I think my preference would be that it's just a continuous image. I don't know if anybody else has thoughts.
I would agree too. I would love to see the track be continuous at the very least, if that's possible. I don't know if the artwork has that in it or if it was designed as 4 separate panels.
I don't think it'll be a huge deal in Photoshop to fix that and marry it up so there's no mullions in between.
And John, my question was, is the image that we're seeing here the image that will be used to create the vinyl?
Yes. There's no artwork. This is the artwork that they produced. They produced it right on the window.
I only asked because there's reflections from the outside that you can see in the image. And I don't know if that's fixable in Photoshop or not, but just to point that out.
Yeah.
I think a do not enter sign, a street lamp.
Yeah, I we didn't address that. It could all be fixed in Photoshop pretty easily, but I was looking for direction from the commission on that kind of thing, really. If I brighten it up in Photoshop, you see a lot more reflection. So this is like a darkened version.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes sense to me that if you can make the image more true to the original intention in Photoshop, that's a great step to take, and great technology that we have at our disposal. I see some white figures at the top. Are those reflections as well in the third panel?
Yeah, I think that's a lantern or
Okay, that's what
street post.
Yeah. And maybe the artist can help you figure out how those tracks can connect and other pathways can connect on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be easily done.
As long as it looks good, I'd be in favor of it. If it doesn't look good and the artist doesn't like it, then I'd say keep it as separate panels.
Right.
Should we open it up to public comments, Ekua?
Okay, all commissioners, any other thoughts or questions? Okay, great. Then let's open it up. And if anyone has a comment or a question, you can raise your hand or put something in the chat. And Patricia will put you in a digital line. I'm not seeing anyone. Tricia, do you see anything on your end?
I don't see any hands raised, and I'm not getting any chats.
Well, so then if everyone has asked all of their questions and made all of their suggestions, we'd like to entertain a motion maybe to accept the design with the added direction to make it into one panel under the direction of the artist and make it look good, as Mark said.
I will, so moved, I guess. Yes, I'll make that motion.
I second that.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna do a roll call. If you're in favor, say yes.
Is it too late to add an amendment or add something?
No, it's not too late, Michael. What would you like to add?
I'm going to add that the final image should be submitted to the staff for final review.
Perfect. So added.
I will definitely agree to that addition. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Michael, you're first. In favor?
Yes.
Camilo?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. So the motion passes. And John, we'll look forward to seeing that when we all get back to City Hall in the lobbies.
Thank you, John. Okay. So next up, in our last meeting, we reviewed an open meeting law complaint from Mr. Christopher Mullady, which was dated April 13th, 2021, and delegated the complaint to council for review and any recommended action. I would like to invite Nyla Freeman as designated counsel to present her response. Nyla, are you here?
Hello, can you
Hi,
hear
Nyla.
me?
Hi,
Yes,
Noah.
thank you for joining us.
Okay, great. Sure. So, I'm going to be fairly brief. This is the Mullady complaint from April 3rd, 2021. I did a review of the complaint and just the circumstances related to the complaint, looking at the allegations and gathering information from the staff. If you all recall, the complaint essentially alleged that meetings of a subcommittee or an advisory committee constituted a subcommittee under the open meeting law and was therefore required to be noticed. Based on my review, I didn't find that there was a violation of the open meeting law. I don't find that the meetings of the advisory committee would be defined as a subcommittee under the open meeting law. So at this time, I wouldn't recommend any remedial action under the open meeting law. The public body has 14 days from the date of the receipt of the complaint to investigate, prepare a response, and also determine whether or not any remedial action is necessary if there is a finding that there was a violation, and to take that remedial action and notify the complainant of that remedial action. So at this point, we've responded to the complaint and sent a copy over to the AG's office, but there's no remedial action to take. So I don't know if there's too much to report.
Okay. Thank you, Nyla. But just to clarify, you did mean April 13th, not, you said April 3rd, but I think you were mixing the dates, correct?
I am mixing the dates. It's the April 13th complaint.
Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners about this response?
I guess I want to know, will a letter go out to the complainant with the findings?
Yes, so a letter has gone out to the complainant with our finding.
Thank you.
The complainant has essentially, there's an allotted period of time in which they can respond to our response. We haven't heard anything yet with respect to this particular complaint.
Okay, and Nyla, will you share that response with the commission?
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. All right, any other comments or questions for Nyla on the April 13th complaint? Okay, hearing none. The Boston Art Commission has received a second open meeting law complaint from Mr. Christopher Mullady dated May 3rd, 2021. As chair, I distributed the document to the commissioners last week via email and have instructed you each to review its contents. We are holding this public meeting within 14 days of the complaint as required. The Boston Art Commission has reviewed the complaint and we should now determine the commission's next steps. Prior to doing so, I would like to turn to Karin to share the history of inquiries and complaints by this individual.
Thank you, Chair Pasnik. Mr. Mullady began filing requests and complaints on July 18th, 2020. We've been making efforts to, take them all very seriously and track them. And I'll share with you what our understanding of them is now. He submitted 18 requests, complaints, and follow-up requests since that date, with the majority, 17 of them, occurring within a 5-month period. The requests began after the Commission's public process and decision to remove the bronze elements, document the process, hold a public event, and initiate a process to recontextualize and create signage related to Emancipation Group. The inquiries have ranged from requests for the public survey and staff and commissioner emails and working documents to materials from the advisory group we were calling the Recontextualization Subcommittee, and we've done our best to summarize them as follows. On or about July 18th, the request was made for a copy of the survey related to the recontextualization of the Emancipation Group. between January 7th and January 27th. The following requests were made. Emails related to the removal and recontextualization with particular interest in direction by the mayor, last 10 days of June and last 10 days of December 2020, and letters to solicit a new location on, followed by 2 requests for further searches on the same subject. On or about March 12th, a request was made for public notices and minutes for the recontextualization subcommittee. On or about March 29th, the request was made for current bylaws for the BAC. On or about March 30th, an appeal was submitted for non-acknowledgement of requests for public notices and minutes of the recontextualization subcommittee, as well as a petition for failure to respond. On or about April 5th, a request was submitted for information regarding legal restrictions related to any loans of the Emancipation Group and a request for a search of the personal email accounts of Commissioner Freeman and Alvarez. On or about April 13th, we received an open meeting law complaint and an additional request that the complaint be shared and acknowledged. On or about April 14th, a request was made for recordings of the recontextualization subcommittee. Again, on or about April 14th, a request was made for minutes of the BAC from July 14th, 2020 to present. On or about May 3rd, we received a second open meeting law complaint. And on or about May 6th, the request was made for a comprehensive submission of the BAC minutes. Again, I apologize if I've missed something there. We're doing our best to keep track of things as best we can. The Boston Art Commission, as I said, Mark said, received a second open meeting law complaint from Mr. Christopher Mullady on May 3rd, 2021. And here's a summary of the complaint. The complainant alleges non-compliance of open meeting law for the following reasons. The complainant alleges that the commission engaged in deliberation outside of an open meeting vis-a-vis emails sent by commissioners dated March 8th and March 9th. In particular, the subject of the emails from March 8th and 9th in question were regarding a request for confirmation by Commissioner Freeman on his understanding of the BAC motion made on June 30th on the removal of the Emancipation Group from Park Square. I will now hand it back to Chair Mark Pasnik, who will review next steps.
Thank you, Karen. Before I go over next steps, since the complaints are focused on the process surrounding the Emancipation Group, I do want to comment that from my perspective, our decision to remove and relocate the Emancipation Group was made during a series of public meetings last summer. The decision was the result of a thorough and open public process that included approximately 5 hours of verbal testimony from 46 members of the public across 2 meetings. Additional public input included 175 letters submitted before the end of June 30th meeting, and 645 survey responses from the public, which overwhelmingly indicated agreement with our eventual decision. This topic has been addressed publicly over a long process as well. The issue was raised by a study the commission first reviewed in 2018. That study was made available to the public and discussed in several subsequent public meetings. The aim of this deliberative process has been to respond to an urgent need to address bias and systemic racism evident in Boston's public art collection. The complainant's 2 recent submissions have focused more narrowly on the recontextualization advisory group's work relative to finding a potential new location for the Emancipation Group. I agree with counsel. I did not view the advisory committee's discussions as an extension of our role. Any recommendation by the advisory group to move the statute to a new location would still need to be reviewed in a public meeting by the full commission prior to making a motion of acceptance or rejection of such recommendations. As the BAC's June 2020 vote was to remove and relocate, not deaccession, staff is continuing to research loan possibilities and will return to the commission at a public meeting for review, public comment, and vote should they develop fitting recommendations. As with the prior complaint addressed 2 weeks ago, this new complaint, we continue to have 3 options available to us. We can delegate the complaint to council, and to do so, the commission would need to vote to authorize, similar to the way we did 2 weeks ago. The BAC can respond as a commission to the complainant, or the BAC chair, that's me, can request an extension within which the BAC must respond to gather this information. Given the legal issues outlined in the complaint, I recommend that we delegate the matter to our legal counsel, Nyla Freeman. Nyla, would you like to add any information on the steps you would take should we vote to delegate this matter to you?
Hi. No, I think it's going to be very similar to last time. There'll be an investigation, and that might look like gathering documents and getting context to the the emails that are the subject emails for this complaint. One thing I do want to add, just in terms of process, is that we have the 14 business days to respond to determine if we need any remedial action. But prior to that, and this is just, and I don't think in this situation, because it is fairly straightforward. There are emails, and that's the breadth of this complaint. But there, as a body, you have 7 business days from the date of receipt of the complaint in which you can request additional information. So if there's anything unclear in the complaint, this essentially gives you have 7 days, and then it adds an additional 10 business days to respond, because the complainant has 10 days to give you all an answer. But that is just a process thing, and I think it's helpful to know, since it seems as though we are receiving complaints from this particular complainant.
Okay, thank you, Nyla. Commissioners, are there any comments on the process? Again, Nyla would need to review the matter before responding to any of the substance of the complaint, but are there any questions on the process that she will undergo? Okay, hearing no comments or questions, I would like to propose a motion. I move that we delegate the investigation and resolution of Mr. Christopher Mullady's open meeting law complaint dated May 3rd, 2021 to our legal counsel. We further instruct counsel to explore whether resolution via mediation with city staff or with the Attorney General's Office of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is a viable option. So are there any comments from commissioners on this proposed motion? I think we'll try to get that up on the screen. So any questions or comments on my motion from commissioners?
Seems like a good motion.
Okay, would you, so I have made a motion. Would you like to second it?
I will second it.
Great, thank you. And then I will read off the roll call. Ekua Holmes,
Yes.
Camilo,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
I am a yes as well, so the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Nyla, for joining us today and offering us your insights. So I noticed looking outside my window here, it's a beautiful afternoon, and I would encourage all of those attending this meeting to spend a little time outside admiring a work of public art in our city. I therefore ask if we have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, John. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Sorry, was that Brian?
Correct.
Okay, great. So I'll read off the roll call. Ekua Holmes,
Yes.
Camilo,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So we are, motion is approved and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And
Thank
go
you,
out there,
everyone.
enjoy the beautiful day.
Thank
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.